Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. It is Tuesday, August 3rd, and I'm going to ship out my sales from over Labor Day weekend. My husband and I were out at the river camping and enjoying some last bits of sun and fun, and I have quite a few sales to ship out. It was really great. Where we go camping and on the river, there isn't much cell service. And so I really can't do much work, and having my Posher VA really saves me because I can have them share and send offers when I'm unable to access things. And then if I have the ability to hook up to the internet, then I can check and accept offers and things like that. So the first item that sold is this somewhat vintage Coach wallet. It's kind of more of a compact wallet, but it does have spaces for all your necessities. This ended up selling for $39. Interesting thing about this is that I had it listed with the matching purse, and I rarely have very good luck selling matching purses and wallets together. Usually they will sell quicker and for better prices if I have them listed separately. But this was a consignment piece, and she kind of wanted to sell them together, but I have had it listed so long. Then I got a buyer who offered me, I can't remember, I think it was less than $39 for both items, the bag and the wallet. And she would just not stop with the kind of low offers. So I deleted the listing that had both of them in it, and I relisted them separately. The two of them together, I think, have been listed over a year, and then since I relisted them separately, it's only been about a month, and just this sold for the $39. I personally think that it is better to list things separately rather than together. Let me know, how you have done in the comments down below. So like I said, this was a consignment piece. When I do consignment, which isn't very often, I do a 50-50 split, and that 50% is after the website fees. So that made my cost of goods $14.59 and my profit $14.59. So that means that my seller gets that $14.50. I had recently talked to her to let her know that this last round of bags and stuff that she gave to me just weren't selling well. The first round, she had a couple Burberry pieces, some Brighton, and it all sold for really great prices, but this round is just not doing very well. Okay, so the next item that sold is this really pretty vintage Aurora Borealis, iridescent rhinestone bracelet. This is probably from the 1950s or 60s, and it did not have a maker's mark on it. These rhinestone pieces don't typically sell super well for me. Oh, I just put my tape in upside down. That's not going to work. This ended up selling for $26, which is okay. It just seems like such a pretty piece, and because it's vintage, I kind of would hope that it would sell for a bit more. I paid $5 for this. So after Posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $15.80. I think this took about a year to sell, which is kind of typical for rhinestone pieces for me. They're not super fast sellers, but because they don't take up very much space, if I don't have a very high, buy-in price, it's fine if I wait to find the right buyer. Now this piece took forever to sell, and I did have quite a few different offers on it, but for some reason I just thought he was so cute and I just could not sell him for a low amount. It's a brooch, and it has a little bail so that you can hang it like a necklace. It is fully articulated, so all of his arms and his head moves, and then he has these little floating rhinestones in there. I don't know, I just thought he was so cute. He ended up selling for $33. I had paid $5 for this. So after Posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $19.38. Let's see, might need a little bit more bubble wrap in there so he doesn't jiggle around in that box. I'm excited that he finally found a new home. You know, it's funny, there's just certain pieces that if I just think they're extra cute or special, even, you know, regardless of what the comps say, sometimes I just want to hold out for a better price. You know, I got like $10, $15 offers, $20 offers on that, and I just felt like he was worth more than that. But as for those of you, you know, who have been watching me, I am trying to, you know, kind of adjust my perspective on that and not hang on to things for an extra 10 bucks or whatever. In this case, I am happy that I waited. Did I say it made my profit $19.38? Okay, so the next item that sold is this vintage or somewhat vintage crucifix cross pendant, and it is a gold color. It is marked made in Italy on the back, and it just has a cord for the necklace portion. Sometimes I'll pick up these religious pieces if I think that they are, you know, intricate and interesting enough, or if they are very affordable. So these were on the last day of an estate sale, and they had everything marked way down, so it was only $1. So I picked up a couple of them. And, you know, I have done all right with certain Catholic and religious charms, crucifixes like this. Again, they aren't an instant seller, but this only took, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months to sell, so really not a super long time. Did I say it sold for $21? So after posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $15.80. I think that is just great for a small little piece like that. I think I've mentioned this recently, but usually for my jewelry, I either use the small flat rate box or the padded flat rate envelope. Just depends on if I'm going to put it in a gift box beforehand, then you know, I'll put it in the padded flat rate. If I'm not going to and I'm just bubble wrapping it, then I'll usually do it in one of these just to keep it more secure, you know, and prevent it from getting broken in transit. Okay, the next item that sold is just this little mother's pendant, and it's just of a girl with a purple stone. This is sterling silver, but the little gemstones are just cubic zirconians. So some mothers will, or it was trendy for a while to get these with all of your children's birthstones and then put them on a necklace. So I was at a little small town thrift store, and she had a bunch of these, 4 or 5 with different stones, and she only had them for $1 a piece. So I just bought them all because I thought it would make for an easy listing. They were only $1 and they were sterling silver. So this sold for $20. That's kind of what I anticipated that it would sell for. That made my profit $15. When I have these, you know, kind of smaller items that don't take up much space, I don't mind having a little bit, you know, lower sale price or profit margin. I think it's just fine. So the next sale I'm pretty excited about, just because I think it is a really beautiful piece. So this is a vintage Angora rabbit fur sweater. And so it's a little bit different. It feels a little bit different than if you were to have like a rabbit fur jacket. And just look at the sheen on that and the styling. It has these like puff balloon sleeves. It tapers in at the waist. It has these really pretty buttons. I just thought this was a really cool piece when I picked it up. And let's see, the label, it is Rebooner, but there's the little tag there. I did not buy this for the name brand. I bought it solely for the fabric or fur and the styling. I have a mild allergy to rabbit or Angora. So if I didn't have that, I would have kept this for myself because I think it is really a cool piece. Now, I'm not gonna break out in hives or anything from handling this. I will probably wash my hands afterwards, but sometimes it just makes me a little itchy or makes me have the sniffles a little bit. But I'll still pick it up if I think it is a fun piece. And, you know, I am not interested in buying new fur items. I feel like, you know, this vintage piece, it's already happened years and years ago. There's no changing what happened in the past, and I think it is just fine to buy and resell these vintage pieces. I'm hoping that it would, you know, prevent someone from buying a new piece of fur instead. This ended up selling for $95, which I did have it priced higher because I just did think it was really a unique piece. I paid $12 for it. That made my profit $64, which I am really happy about. I bought that at the end of last winter, so I think it took around 6 months to sell. Okay, let's see. Guess I had that paper out to wrap that too, but I don't think I need to do both. So the next item that sold is this really nice men's vintage Pendleton wool blazer. This was just in really beautiful condition. I liked the red lining. Let's see if I can show you. I could tell that it was vintage because it had this blue Pendleton label. If you look up Pendleton labels, I think it will show you what the different labels from different eras look like, so you can kind of identify, you know, what era your Pendleton piece is from. So did I say I don't always pick up Pendleton pieces? Of course, if they have like a Navajo or like an Aztec print style or an Aztec print on them, then I will always pick those up. Those always sell really well for me and for great prices. I just picked this up because I thought it was a classic blazer, and like I said, it was really in beautiful condition. And I think I looked up, I can't remember, I looked up and there was some other distinctive feature for this piece that made it a little more desirable. It ended up selling for $45. And, you know, Pendleton pieces can do really well. The blazers just seem to be somewhat saturated, and so you can, you know, it can take a little while for them to sell. This I also believe I picked up towards the end of last winter, so it took around 6 or 8 months to sell. I paid $5 for it. The Goodwill had it marked at $9.99, but it made it to the discount half off day, so I picked it up for that $5. That's the other thing, if you know it's affordable, then I'm more likely to pick up a Pendleton blazer. Okay, so after posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $28.90. And the next item that sold is this pair of OTBT riding boots, and they kind of have a distressed, worn in look to them. I think that was, you know, or it is intentional, the way that they came from the factory. Sorry, I got a little bit of dust or fuzz on there. These sold for $39. And OTBT, you know, can have a decently high retail price. And sometimes I do really well with this brand, and sometimes It's not typically a real quick seller for me, just as a brand. But I think, you know, you want to be more particular, just like anything else, and be sure that you're being conscious of the style of the item. But I think as we're heading into fall, you know, these are a nice piece. Got some kind of cool stitching detail on the bottom too. I paid $5 for these. So after Posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $26.20. Typically for my boots, I use the large kind of cube box number 7. And I use that for, you know, tall boots and cowboy boots. And I just kind of, you know, gently fold them and drop them down in there. And I think it works nicely. So it's this box. Let me make sure it is box number, yes, box number 7. And like I said, I just kind of, you know, gently do it like that. And then I'll do this one the opposite direction. I did my last set of thank you stickers I got from Amazon. I had ordered some from, what is it, Temu. And their prices are quite affordable. But after watching some YouTube videos kind of about that company, I just decided that I did not want to do business with them. You know, I encourage you to do your own research before you shop with them. Okay, I did have 2 sales on Chairish as well. The first item is this vintage perfume bottle. It has these kind of faceted cuts on there, and it's this really pretty pale rosy pink color. I'm not really into perfume bottles, but I just really liked the color of this one, so I picked it up. It ended up selling for $55. I did have a packaging fee on this too, but I did not write down how much it was. I paid $3.99 for this at the Goodwill. So after Chairish's fee and my cost of goods, that made my profit $44.90. Then I also, let's see, I don't want that too close to the edge because I don't want to knock it over. Then I also sold this really cool horse head door knocker. Isn't that fun? And then this is a horseshoe. This took a while to sell, maybe 2 years. I didn't pay very much for it, and I thought it was pretty cool, and it sold for $89. I also had a small packaging fee on this. I paid only $3 for this. So after Chairish's fee and my cost of goods, that made my profit $73.42. As always, I have my packaging video linked in the description box below, where I kind of share how I package breakables and give you tips on shipping items. And then I also have the seller's guide linked in the description box, and that tells you everything you could want to know about selling on Chairish. If you haven't already, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up, and I will be right back. Hi again, it's Thursday, and I've got 4 more things to ship out, a couple pretty good sales. So the first sale is this beautiful mother of pearl necklace and matching earrings. Let me get it put together. And it is a double layer. It has the white mother of pearl on one side and then this kind of smoky gray on the other side. Isn't this just gorgeous? Really a statement piece. And the way this feels, it's so silky smooth. There was all sorts of varying comps for this type of thing, but I did find some pieces that were substantial like this that had quite high retail prices. So I priced this on the high end to begin with, kind of thinking I'm gonna overthink packaging this, so I think I'll just do it off camera, and I want to make sure that it's all separate so that it doesn't you know, hit each other and break in transit, because I think it could be somewhat delicate. But there were some pretty high retail prices in the $200 to $300 range, and then there were some resale prices that were low, like $30 or $40. Actually, I didn't see many high resale prices. So I had this priced at $129. This buyer offered me $80. I decided to go ahead and accept that because, like I said, I just didn't really see a lot of comps. And it had been listed probably close to a year. Plus, I only paid $1 for it. So this is one of the pieces that went to $1 a day at this estate sale. It was a really beautiful high-end estate sale. The company originally had it priced at $18, and I liked it when I went the first day, but I didn't really think it was worth paying $18. So I was thrilled to see it go to $1 a day. So it was $1 for the necklace and earrings. So after Posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $63. I think that is really great. Let's see, I'm going to move that over so it doesn't fall off. The next item that sold is this cute little kind of leaf brooch, and it has different colored rhinestones. I just liked the different color of rhinestones. It was kind of unusual to see that. Plus there was little pearls in there. Just a pretty unique piece. It didn't have any maker's marks or anything like that. But sometimes when I'm at sales and things are affordable, I will just be grabbing different pieces of jewelry, hoping that I'll get lucky and get, you know, a nice name brand one, or like one that's gold with real stones or something. So this sold for $30, which I think is pretty great. I paid about $3 for it. So after Posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $21. I think that's great for a brooch. You know, of course, some of the higher end designer brooches can sell for big amounts, but typically these unmarked brooches, you know, I'm lucky to get $15 to $20 for them. So I was really happy with that $30. I don't know how long I had this listed. I would guess a long time, over a year, but I cannot remember for sure. I buy and sell so many brooches, it's hard to keep track. Okay, the next item that sold is this tooled leather belt. I really liked this different kind of stripe, and it was marked Hickok cowhide. Just felt like a really nice quality piece. You know, of course, I just picked it up because it was leather and it was a belt and it was only $1. It ended up selling for $33. Like I said, I only paid $1 for it. So after Posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $25.40. Happy to have another belt sale, especially a brown belt, because I just have a lot to sell, and my belt sales have not been quite as good as they used to be. That's all right. I hope it means that you guys are, you know, selling a whole bunch of belts too. So that makes me happy. Okay, the next item is a pretty fun sale. It is this vintage hat. And I don't really pick up vintage hats very often unless they are a very cool, unusual piece. And I felt like this really looked like a hat that Audrey Hepburn wore in Breakfast at Tiffany's. And if I remember, I'll pop up a picture of her wearing it, but it's a pretty iconic style. And I saw that this at the Goodwill for just $5. So I thought I'll go ahead and pick it up. The reason that I don't typically pick up hats is that they typically take a while to sell, and I haven't been very lucky with getting super high prices for them. This ended up selling for $50 though, which I think is a pretty good price. It did take over a year, maybe 2 years to sell. So is that worth waiting, you know, for a $50 sale price? I'm not sure, but I just really loved it and it made me happy. So sometimes that's worth it. Okay, so it sold for $50. I paid $5. So after Posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $35. I think that's great. Isn't that just a cool piece? Look at the detail on that, the velvet bow. And this did have a brand name in it, Beresford. Let's see, I don't know if you guys will be able to see that. And I assume that I looked that up before I listed that, because you know, some Milners? Some brands, hat maker brands, can be more valuable than others. Did I mention my husband and I did schedule a trip to Hawaii later this year? So our celebration for our 20-year wedding anniversary continues. We were just kind of waiting to see financially if we should book more trips, and it's looking good. So we went ahead and did that, and we're gonna go to Honolulu and stay in a hotel there that we've stayed before, and they have an infinity pool overlooking the ocean with floaties, and it's an adults only pool. So we are really excited. I think we're going for 6 or 7 days. I can't remember for sure, but I am thrilled, and I need to start saving more money for food and activities, because I looked at the prices at restaurants there, and it is very expensive. So we're gonna have to be a little frugal with that, but that is okay. I'm really excited. Okay, I'll be back on Saturday to share what else I sell. Hey again, it's Saturday and I have a few more things to ship out. First off, I sold a round teak table on Facebook Marketplace, and I forgot to do video of it before the buyer came and picked it up, but I hope I still have a picture of it, and I'll go ahead and insert it here so you can see it. Now, I bought this table, it came with 2 chairs, and I wanted the chairs, and the seller wouldn't split them up. Bought the table, and I paid $350 total for the table and chairs, so $175 each. I ended up selling the table for $250, so I didn't even double my money on that, but like I said, I really wanted the chairs out of the set, so I still made a profit of $75. The person paid cash, so there's no website fees or anything like that, which makes me happy. Okay, the next item that sold on Poshmark, and it is this beaded, really chunky beaded necklace. I think these are heishi beads. Heishi. Someone has told me how to pronounce that before, and I apologize, I forgot. This has been listed forever and a day, probably over 2 years. I'm so glad to see it go, but it sold for $22. This was given to me in a lot of jewelry. Someone came in and wanted to sell some jewelry, and they just didn't have anything, the grouping that I wanted to pay for at all. And so I just said, I'm sorry, I'm not interested. They just gave it to me. And the reason is because I just didn't care for the style or, you know, makeup of any of these pieces. Everything that I had listed from that grouping took forever to sell. So I think I was right in not, you know, buying it. So it didn't cost me anything. After Posh fees, that made my earnings $17.60. Nice to have that from something that someone gave me. And, you know, I still stand firm that, you know, I'm glad that I didn't buy that lot, because it just didn't have anything in it that was really exciting to me. The next item that sold is this really pretty Susan Graver top. And this is not a brand that I would normally pick up. However, I just thought this was a really pretty piece. I picked it up for style and because it was a 3X. Also, it was half off. So it ended up being $5. I picked this up right before Christmas last year, and I was hoping that it would sell for Christmas or New Year's, and it did not. But it did end up selling for $25, which I think is just fine. I believe Susan Graver is sold on QVC or HSN. And, you know, it doesn't really have a super high retail price, but this had the sequins and the embroidery, and I just thought it was pretty and I couldn't leave it behind. So I'm glad I picked it up. Did I say I paid $5 for it? So after Posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $15. That's just fine. I'm happy to see it go. I hope this person really loves it and it makes them feel good wearing it. That was really, you know, a big part of my intention with picking that up. The next item that sold is this pair of Keen sneakers, hiking shoes, sort of. And these have been listed for a little while, and they just got relisted with my Posh Rivier a couple of days ago, and they sold for full price. Now these did have, I picked them up at a yard sale, and then I noticed they had this stain here in the back. I did give that a little bit of a cleaning and scrubbing, but it didn't come out. Luckily, I only paid $1 for these, so I just decided to list them anyways, because otherwise they were in really great condition. And they sold for $29. I listed them at a little bit lower price because of that stain in there. So after Posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $22.20. Not really huge profits today, but I'm happy to move those out. And as I have said, a sale is a sale. Oh, and someone suggested that it is the September of sales instead of summer of sales. And I think that's kind of a fun idea. I might try and think of from month to month, November of numbers. I don't know what. Anyways, right now it's going to be the September of sales, and I am happy about that. I did also have a sale on Chairish, and I realized that I forgot to get that out to show you, so I'll be right back to show you that. Okay, here is the item that sold on Chairish, and it is this vintage macrame owl. Has these kind of wood button eyes, natural like driftwood pieces. Really a fun piece. I picked up 4 or 5 of these at an estate sale. I think that the person had made them because they were in different colors. And they were only charging $5 a piece for them. So I felt like I could get more than that. I've already sold one, and I think it sold for about $80. This one sold for $50 plus a $15 packaging fee, so a total of $65. Like I said, I paid $5 for it. So after Chairish's fee and my cost of goods, that made my profit $49. I did have this priced higher originally, I think like $89, and I had reduced it to $69 or $79, and then the buyer offered me that $50 because it is the September of sales, and I still have a few of these, and I've had them listed quite some time, like 6 or 8 months probably, so I just accepted that $50. I'm happy with that. This may be a little tricky to package. I need to make sure I have the right size box, but otherwise I think it'll probably be fine. Okay, so it turned out to be a pretty good week. Not outstanding, but my total sales for the week were $1,046. My total cost of goods was $251. That's a little bit higher because of that, the cost of that table. And then my total profit after fees, cost of goods, and any shipping discounts was $641.27. I sold a total of 18 items, which made my average sale price $58.11. I think that's pretty great. My average cost of goods was $13.94. Once again, a little bit higher because of that table. And then my average profit per item was $35.63. Again, I'm happy with all of those stats. You know, anytime that I can have an average sale price over $50 and an average profit over $25, I say that that is a win. Of course, I'd like to have more sales. I felt like I was very fortunate this summer. I had a really great June and July, and August actually turned out to be really great. I sold a total of $3,555 on Chairish, which is substantially higher than I normally do, but that was because of those 2 furniture sales. And then I sold $2,875 for the month of August on Posh, which really isn't that great. I think that ended up being about 15% below what I sold last year in August. But Chairish made up for it. You know, it's all about balance. So that's almost $6,500 or $6,700 total in sales, which I am thrilled with. Anytime, you know, I sell more than $4,000 or $5,000 in a month, that is really wonderful for me. Of course, I'd like to do, you know, 10,000 every month, but I haven't been listing, and, you know, I feel very fortunate to have that amount of sales. Thank you all so very, very much. I finally hit 5,000 subscribers last week. I felt like those last 10 subscribers to get to 5,000 took like 2 weeks. And now, you know, I've gotten like 20 or 30 in the last week, new subscribers. So there's just, you know, no guarantee with how quickly things will go. And one thing I did want to mention that I'm not sure if you're aware of, but creators are not paid based on the number of subscribers that they have. And really, your subscriber count is kind of inconsequential, but it is like a metric for creators to use, you know, to feel that they're making progress on YouTube. Thank you so very much for your support and tuning in every week. If you do that, subscribing, commenting, giving my videos a thumbs up. I just appreciate you guys and all you do so very much. And I hope you guys all have a great week or weekend, wherever you are in the week. Thanks again for watching.